verses 1 to 4. Very short passage, but very important passage. Hebrews chapter 2, verses 1 to 4. I still remember the very first sermon that I ever preached. I don't know how many years now. I was in New York City. I was serving the rescue mission, so-called homeless ministry. So we were serving 200 to 300 people every night in this homeless shelter. One of the oldest shelters that I know, if I'm correct, it is the oldest homeless shelter in whole United States of America. There was a New York City Rescue Missions. That's where I served for every winter. One night, the chairman of the facility asked me to preach. I did not know why until this day, but I felt grateful. At the same time, I was very, very afraid because it was my very, very first ever sermon. I wasn't a pastor at that time. I was just a theology seminary student, and this was the passage that I still remember. This is the passage that I preached for the first time in my life in front of people. And if you know the passage, you will understand why it was so powerful. I'll read it to you. Therefore, we ought to give the more honest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip. I had to remind them with this passage that how shall we escape if we neglect such a great salvation? They may be homeless, but they are not fatherless. They may be out of home, they may not have family, but they are never ever fatherless, because we all have Father in heaven. If we remember the passage correctly, if we learn from the passage, we are not neglected, and we are given the time and opportunity to believe in the conviction and confidence of the Lord that He is giving us today. So I want to share this passage with you in regards to the regrets that we may have if we do not have this conviction and confidence of the Lord. Such a great salvation, what is it? It is something that has been given to us as a gift, as an opportunity that we can all grab if we just want it. But if we choose not to accept it, it will not be a gift, but it will remain as a regret. Speaking of regret, I remember reading a book called Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. This person who wrote the book, name was Bronnie Ware, and she was a clerk in a bank in Australia. And one day she realized she wanted to find her purpose of her life. One day she wanted to search for the meaning of life. So she went to the UK, and there she found one that she was looking for, but not intentionally, but by somewhat accident. That she was serving these people so-called dying people. She was serving as a hospice, and there she realized by talking to many people that a lot of them have great regrets in their lives. And those regrets she categorized into 5 of them, and those 5 of them are like this. Number 1, what if I lived a life that I ever wished? Number 2 was, what if I spend more time with my family and loved ones? Number 3, what if I ever challenged, and what if I actually tried out the passion of my life? Number 4, what if I was more honest about my feelings? And number 5, and what if I took what if I took the given opportunity for happiness? That was the major 5 regrets that she categorized of the dying people. And if you notice those 5 things, you will immediately understand that those regrets are not only for those people who do not have the Lord, who are not Christian, but many of the Christians may confess the same issues, may say the same thing when they were dying. So how can we make our living and make our life more meaningful, make our life non-regretful. Although this book talks about those regrets and how we can prevent them, it does not provide it does not provide any eternal salvation, eternal guarantee like the Bible gives us. And now let us go back to this passage of verse 1. Therefore, we ought to give more honest heed to the things that we have heard. So if you don't want to live the life of regret, what you need to do is you and I need to heed to the things what we have already heard. It is not the things that we have watched. It is not the things that we learn from watching something, getting something, and experienced something, but it is something that we read and heard only from the Scripture. The Scripture is the things that we have heard. Many times what we do is we try to stay away from those things. Why? Because we think it is difficult. Why? Because we think it is slow. The Scripture would not be fulfilled in a short period of time. Why? Our desires and our demands are much stronger and imminent. But if you know, we are given a certain time that only the Lord knows. Even though all the things may come on us, even if we try as hard as we can, we try to gather all our resources to solve all our problems, many times. Oftentimes it does not solve. It has to be solved by something that out of our reach. If we are in a deep trouble, those deep troubles will not be escapable unless we were given any miraculous power to save us, rescue us from those troubles, and which can only be given by the Lord. So what we need to know is if we are given a choice to choose to something for the Lord and something for ourselves, even if it may seem slow and tedious, we always ought to choose what the truth tells us to do. So if you read verse 3, now we realize, how shall we escape if we neglect such a great salvation? God has given us the salvation and provided us the opportunity to be saved and to have fellowship with the Lord forevermore. Do you notice that you are given all the strength and opportunity to live your life in conviction of the Lord for the judgment, and also confidence of the Lord that you can achieve something great for the Lord? Or are you living in a life regretful, that someday you may face the judgment and think, I should have, what if I have done so and so? Or which way ever you choose, it is up to you. But Scripture is very plain and clear that God has given us the grace to choose the former, so we can live the life without any regret, and we can live the life for the Lord.